Right. So, we're on Chaf Beis Amid Beis. She says the shadow that was asked of Rava is what's Rabbi Yehuda's position on a very narrow road that is not smooth. He clearly said that when it's smooth and it's the Baki B'Rabim, the Rabbim use it without any impediments. Well, then for sure that breaks the status of Rishus Rabbim. And that's why he had to reroute them through around the Pasi Bureaus. But what about when it's very narrow? So Rava basically said it didn't make a difference. Rabbi Yehuda's position stays the same. Rishus Rabbim is broken by Rishus HaYachid is broken by the Baki B'Rabim, no matter how narrow it might be. And on that we asked the Kasha. Let's read it very quickly. Again, we basically did this yesterday. Eisvei, about 7 lines up from the wide lines. Eisvei chassash rabim nichnaslem bezu v'yotzem bezu. If people are using this chasser and they enter on one side and they go on the other side, so it's a shortcut through Rishus Rabim from one side of Rishus Rabim to the other, and they use this chasser as a way of getting through. Then, since there are people who use it, Rishus Rabim l'tumah. When it comes to tumah, that's a very, straightforward criteria. If there are people around, that's not a Rishus Yachid, it's a Rishus Rabim. However, Rishus Yachid is Shabbos, but it is a Rishus Yachid when it comes to Shabbos, clearly indicating that the walls still, serve it to make it a Rishus Yachid. It is surrounded. So, Mani. Now, who is this? Who does this Bryce reflect? Ileim Rabbanon, it can't be the Rabbanon. If it's Rabbanon, Hashto Ma'asam the Nichat Hashmishtei, if in the Mishnah, where it was clearly easily accessible, and the Rabbin went through it without any problem, Rabbanon lo yos Rabbin Mavatli Mechitzas, and the Rabbanon still say you can't come and nullify the Mechitza from the fact that you are the multitudes doesn't change matters. Will for sure be a no-brainer that when it comes to this particular case where it's not easy, you've got this. We saw the picture yesterday. You got impediments there. It's not a smooth open area. It's less than 10 amis, and there might be some residual ridges there, pieces of wood or cement, whatever. It's just not a easy way. You can get through it, but it's certainly not smooth. It's not like we had earlier. So it would be a kolshkin. There'd be no reason why the Rabbanon have to say their halacha. He says Elo lav Rabbi Yehudi. So it's Rabbi Yehuda. And if it's Rabbi Yehuda, what does it say to you that the fact that it's not nichat hashmishtei means that you nullify the Rishus Rabim? It says Rishus Yachid, which is against what Rava just said regarding Rabbi Yehuda. To which Gemara says, Liolam Rabbanon, it's really the Rabbanon who are making the statement here, and you're stating that it's obvious, and you said it's a kolshken, and you're right. That part is a kolshken. Rishus Rabim l'tumah itzrichlei. But the message of the Brisa wasn't about the Rishus HaYachid as relates to the laws of Shabbos. It was about the Rishus HaRabim as it relates to the laws of Tumah. And that you need to know that just because it's surrounded by walls doesn't allow it to be seen as Rishus HaYachid. When it comes to Tumah, the criteria is different. Let's take a look at Rashi. Let's see. Derech, right in the middle there, Rashi. Derech Psachim. The Rabbim go in through the doorways, or Pirsa Shel Eser, or 10 or less openings in the wall. So, what's the status here? So it depends what halachos you're dealing with. So if the Rabbanon hold that it stays Rishus Yachid even when it's Nichat Hashmishtei, here the lo Nichat Hashmishtei Rashi says Rabbim. It's not easy for the multitude to use this, for the public to use it. L'drisa, for purpose of walking through Shabsachim Ksarim. The openings are narrow. The Gedudin Yesh Baskufa, and there's at the threshold area there's extensions and protrusions that make it a little delicate there to get through. And for sure, it's obvious that you would not nullify the valid mechitzas with the trampling of the feet just because the Rabbim go there wouldn't be able to nullify it. It would be an obvious point. And clearly the message is The Rabbi Yehuda distinguishes between a smooth sailing Rabbim versus a difficult to maneuver Rabbim. So to which Gemara says no. It could be that the Chiddush is in Rabbanan, but it's only referring to the laws of Tumah, and that's the Chiddush. Let's try again. Toshma, back to the Gemara, first wide line. Toshma muvos hamufulashos bebaros b'shichin umaros. If you have a mavui, alleyways that are used by the Rishus Rabbim, and they're open from both sides, and they're open to, it says, Biboro Shichamaris, in pits or ditches or caves. Okay, Rishus Yachal Shabbos, Rishus Rabbim L'Tumah. So the same criteria. It's Rishus Yachal when it comes to Shabbos. That means that the walls stay intact, and you don't nullify them by the movement of the tzibur, and Rishus Rabbim that goes by different criteria. It's Rishus Rabbim for Tumah. Okay, so now clearly, how do you read this line? But if you read it literally, it sounds like the mavi is in a bar. That the mavis which are foolish is a bar, and that can't be what? You have two open sides inside a pit that the people use. That can't be. That's not practical, obviously, and can't mean that. Okay, but boros hakadaitach, that doesn't mean that the mavi is in a pit. That can't be ella. Obviously, what it means is liboros, that they open to a bar, meaning that at the very end of the alleyway there is a pit there that you have to walk around in order to facilitate continued onward movement. So that means it's a single file kind of situation. It's not nichat hashmishte. Okay, and yet what's halacha? It says Rishus Yachal Shabbos, Rishus Rabbim L'Tumah. So Rishus Yachal when it comes to Shabbos, and Rishus Rabbim when it comes to Tumah, the exact same halachas we just said in the last brayso. In Amani, same deal. Who is the author? Ilaim Rabbanon. If you say it's Rabbanon Hashtama Hasam Nenichat Hashmish Amr Los Rabbim Uvat. If in a case where it's easy for the Rabbim to go through, yet they don't nullify the mechitzas, and it's still Rishus Yachid. Wouldn't it be obvious over here when it's not nichat hashmishtei? Must be elulav Rabbi Yehuda. Must be Rabbi Yehuda. In which case, again, Rava is nullified. Rava is disproven because Rava said it would not matter. Rabbi Yehuda would still maintain that you have to reroute the Rabbim. It would still be considered Rishus Rabbim and not a Rishus Yachid. So. Yeah, so he says, Lo, Yolam Rabbanon, I'll tell you it's really the Rabbanon, Rishus Rabbim L'Tumah Tzrichlei. Same answer. That the Chiddush is not about the laws of Shabbos, that's obvious in Rabbanon, it's all about the laws of Tumah, and that's why we have this brayso. Okay, let's just, there's one Rashi here, two Rashis. Elulav Rabbi Yehuda, we did that. But boros hakadaitach. How do you have a movi inside a pit? That's just not going to, it's not going to work. Let's see here. Okay, and so must be liboros. Sheish bor baroshi echad. Okay, there is a pit at the end of one of these, at one end of the alleyway. V'safa achas. And it's a single file situation until people can go through, as you narrowly walk around the pit in a narrow area to get to the other side. Okay, so it's not nichat hashmishtei, and yet, and what's halacha? That it's a din of rishus hayachid. So it can't be Rabbanon, must be Rabbi Yehuda, and it's a kasher on Rava. The answer is no, it's not, because of it's not because of the fact that the Chiddush is in the laws of Tumah. Okay. Weiter. Toshma. Let's try another one. Shvile Beis Gilgul. The roads of Beis Gilgul. Anything similar to the roads of Beis Gilgul, which are very steep, narrow. Rishus Yachal Shabbos, Rishus Rabbim L'Tumah. Same criteria, same concept. When it comes to Shabbos, I go after the mechitzis, and it has mechitzis because of its narrow, steepy, incline. When it comes to Rishus Rabbim, it's all about It's all about the people, and people hang out there. So we don't care about whether you're enclosed or not when it comes to the laws of tumah. Ve'ezehu shvila beis gilgal. What's called the shvila beis gilgal? Amr debei Reb Yanai. Okay, criteria for what's a narrow road is kol she'ein eved yochel litol sor shel chitim. Any road that will not allow a slave to take. Any road that will not allow an eved to take the bundle of a saw's worth of grain, okay, which is a weight measurement of a nice amount, but one that you normally can handle. The yoretz of sarjot and run in front of an officer and carry it in a very smooth fashion, I guess similar to the to the torch a little bit, with the maybe obviously a little bit more harder, but you got the guy running with the torch at the Olympics. So if you can do that while you're carrying a so worth of wheat, then it's not so narrow, and then you're good to go. But if it's that narrow, then that changes the halachas, and you've got this halach. That's the criteria. Can you navigate it while running with a big pile of wheat in your hands? So, but what's halacha? That it had the rishus yachid when it comes to Shabbos amani, same deal. Ilem rabbanon, if it's rabbanon hashtam mahasam nenichat ashmish sham rabbanon lo asur mevat lo mechitza. If in the case of the Mishnah where it's not difficult and yet the rabbim don't nullify the mechitzas, hachad lo nichat ashmish lo kol shein. Isn't it certainly going to be true in this case where it's not easy to navigate? For sure, the mechitzas are going to stand firm. So again, no chiddush. Elul Rabbi Yehuda, it's Rabbi Yehuda. Okay? And here you can't use the tumah aspect because there is no reference to tumah, right? This is a halacha only referring to, right? What does it say here? No, it does say. So yeah, I don't know. Okay, it does say Rishus Ram L'Tumah. Okay, so I don't know why you couldn't give the same answer. I guess maybe we felt we had a better answer. Okay, yeah. Okay, so fine. Maybe we have a better answer here, which is really going to be relevant to the Gemara we had spoken about yesterday. This answer really clarifies the original statement of Rava when he. Not of Rav, of the original statement of Rabbi Yochanan, that when he said Malos Samordo Sheberet Yisrael Ein Chayav Lo Mishum Rishus Rabim, because it's not like the Diglei Midbar, right? And we had made a point that why is it specifically Rishus Eretz Yisrael? It should be any place that's narrow. So here we have the definitive answer, which really puts this Gemara back on clear footing. He says Omalei. He answered back. He didn't give the same answer that we had said the other times, that it's all about the tumah. But rather, what do we say? Amalei Shvile Beis Gilgal Kamrit. You're talking about the narrow roads of Beis Gilgal. You can't ask me kasha based on that. Why not? Because Yeshua Oyev Yisrael Haya. Because Yeshua, who conquered Eretz Yisrael, was somebody who loved Klal Yisrael very much, and he always had them in mind in the way he handled the situation in Eretz Yisrael. And he instituted these roads and these public thoroughfares where you can get from place to place, the highways, the whole road system. He developed it and he instituted it. So when you had clear, easy usage, Masrul Rabbim. Okay, so the highway number one, right, and the what's it called, the Ayalon, whatever. These things, they that belong to the Rabbim. So because it was easy usage, and that's who should get it. However, but if it was not easy and it went through private areas, Masrul Yachid, he gave him to a Yachid. So we're adding another point here, that those roads in Chutz Aretz would certainly not be owned by anybody. They'll be public usage. But over here, Yeshua was misakein that the roads that were very narrow and not easily accessible, okay, even though they were available to the public, they were still considered private property, and as such, they don't fit into the Diglei Midbar from this aspect, from not just the issue of that they're narrow, but they're also owned by a private individual, and therefore is a reason why you're not chayav for it in Eretz Yisrael, for these narrow roads. So it's an added point of what Rabbi Yochanan really meant, and why he said this halach, and why it only applies to Eretz Yisrael. Okay, and that's what Tosfos points out in the second Tosfos on the page. He says, "V'dafka beretz Yisrael can mefarish taima b'samuch Yeshua oiv Yisrael haya." But in Chutzar you'd be chayiv for these things because ultimately they were still Rishus Rabbim. Okay, so Rabbi Yehuda would capitulate about his halacha that the Rabbim saves the Rabbim under all circumstances except for these places in Eretz Yisrael. Let's see the Rashi. Shvile Beis Gilgul, Maila Gavaya was a Kufi Eretz Yisrael. It's a very high, elevated road and steep road in Eretz Yisrael. Yeshua Ov Yisrael Haya. Umailos Umordos Eretz Yisrael Modina Lecha, and therefore, as a result of his love of the Jewish people and wanting to give them as much land as possible in these very, high or very low places, we have to go down, we have to go up. Modina Lecha, I admit to you, they ain't chayav l'lam. You're not chayiv for them because there it's not really Rishus Rab. It's not really Rishus Rab. Okay, so that's. Makes both in one picture. Shvilei Beis Gilgul. Okay, fine. That's the road up to Beis Gilgul. Okay, so let's finish the Rashi. When I said Yechayiv, Rav was saying in Rabbi Yehuda, I only meant it in the other lands, not in the land of Eretz Yisrael, because of this special factor of Yeshua over Yisrael Haya. Okay, but Tosfos, the second Tosfos from the bottom points out, it's only these types of roads which are uniquely difficult. But in other cases where it's open to a bar, those other cases where have Rishus Rabbim, Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, fine. So basically, he adds the other fact that it's got to be, really difficult. If it's not so difficult, then you just have to sort of, navigate around it, like the case of the chutzner we had. So that wouldn't change that answer. The answer that we gave for there is still the right answer because Rabbi Yehuda would maintain that those are still have a din of Rishus Rabbim because of the fact that it's easier to navigate than these Shvilei Beis Gilgul. Okay, that takes care of that. Brings us to the next Mishnah. Okay, moving right along. Echad bar, says the Mishnah. Echad bar harabim uber harabim ubar yachid oiselei pasin. So we had this earlier that whether you be a water hole used by the multitudes, or whether it is a spring water well, okay, that rejuvenates itself from the earth, as opposed to just relying on rainwater that comes and goes depending on the weather. Echad barabim uber rabim uber yachid, or whether it be a well that belongs to an individual. So it could be you have a watering hole of the rabbim, you can have a well of the rabbim, you can have a well owned by an individual. In all these three cases, oislei pasin, you're allowed to make these L-shaped cropped out areas of the wooden boards of whatever other material for the wells to carry is permissible because it's a necessary function, obviously, for the tzibur, and even if it belongs to a yachid. Since it's a well and it's not going to run out, you're not going to be inconsistent with anything. You can use that as well and you can use pasi bros for that. If you have obviously people walking through there, you can build the pasi bros. Avol bara yachid, but a watering hole of an individual, which has sort of tartala reisa, it's got a double negative because of the fact that it belongs to a yachid and it could dry up. Aisal mechitza gavayut tfachim. Divrei Bekiva. Bekiva says you got no leeway here. You got to make real mechitzas of 10 tfachim, and there's no shortcuts. And pasi bros will not be acceptable. Okay. I mean that's just okay. Yes, that's right. That's coming up soon. Okay, now these are words of Rabbi Kiva. So he takes the other position, Rabbi ben Baba, that no, the whole allowance for pasi bros is only by a well and only for the rabbim. Okay, ulishar, but for all the other cases, so according to the Tanakama, according to Rabbi Kiva, it was 3 out of 4 that you made pasi bros. According to Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba, it's only 1 out of 4 of these 4 scenarios. You only make pasi bros for ber harabim bavad. Ulishar, and for all the others, osin chagura gavay asar tfachim, you make like a wrestling ring situation where you have the ropes all around, and it's a little makeshift, but at the end of the day, it's valid mechitzas. I'm not going to allow you this very, very lenient pasi bro situation in those situations because we're concerned. You need to have it needs to belong to the multitude and to the rabbim, and it needs to be a well. So Rashi says, "Bor harabim ipiske maya mitkredadi." So by the a watering hole that's used by many, it's out there in the public usage and public domain. Well, there everyone's going to remind each other. If it dries up, somebody's going to tell you there's no more water, and you'll know not to rely on the pasi bros, because the pasi bros, if the minute you lose the water aspect, you lose the whole basis for the heter. So you need to be reminded, but you will be reminded in the case where the rabbim are hanging out there. But if it's ber yachid or ber yachid, nami shori ber yachid, this is Rabbi Kiva, is also mutter. The loy paske maya, the water will not dry up because it's not relying on the rain, and you have the underground springs that will continue the water flowing. While Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba says, "Ber harabim de ikka tartil mal yusa." When you have a double positive, where you have the recognition of all the people who will see what's going on, and you have it being a spring, a well, that's where you're allowed to rely on the pasi bros. But any other case, chagura hekef shel chaval. You need a surrounding of ropes minimally to get you going, and that's considered a valid mechit, even though again it's not preferred, but it's certainly a lot better than the pasi bros, which is really shvach because it's got more opening than closure. Okay, fine. Let's do the Gemara top of Chav Gimel Amud Aleph. Amar Rav Yosef, Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Halak Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba. So who do we follow? We follow the more chumradika position of Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba. The Amar Rav Yosef, Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Lo hutshu pasi bros, el ber mayim chayim bovad. And then he says another statement, which seems quite the repetition, is that you're not going to allow pasi bros to be used as mechitzas, but for ber mayim chayim bovad. Only for wells, and not for watering holes. Well, is not what Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba holds? That you're only allowed to use it for for wells and not for watering holes. That's exactly what he said. The obvious question, which the Gemara doesn't even have to ask because it's so obvious that the Gemara right away just chimes in with the answer. Utzricha, and I need both statements. Don't think I can derive the right halacha from any one of these two statements. Why? The Yashmina and halacha. Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba. If I just told you that we follow Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba, Havamina derabim, Afilu b'chunasim, okay, I would have said that you know what? When Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba mattered the rabbim, he really mattered it even for rainwater, even for a watering hole. V'haidik ber harabim, and the fact that he said ber harabim lafuke mid Rabbi Akiva. Okay, that's only just to argue with Rabbi Akiva, who felt that you can go into Rishus HaYachid as well, and to that chiddush of Rabbi Akiva that in Rishus HaYachid a well will work, comes along Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba says, no, it will not work. So I'm focusing on your chiddush. So the reason why I said a ber harabim is what works is not to exclude a bar harabim, it's to exclude a ber hayachid. So maybe that's the way I would have interpreted, mistakenly, I would have interpreted Rabbi Akiva that way, and therefore Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba that way, and in his argument with Rabbi Akiva, and I need to make sure you don't make that mistake. So I just said simply, Allah Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba, you would have walked away possibly confused. V'aylik tani ber rabim, Lafugan Rabbi Akiva. And the reason why he only chose the reference of Be'er Harabim is only come because he was focusing on excluding Rabbi Akiva's chiddush of Be'er Hayachid. Kamash Blondel Hutra Pasi Bros El Ber Maim Chaim. And therefore, he's coming to teach me that you're only allowing. This is, and that's why Rav Yosef, the name of Rav Yehuda, the name of Shmuel, needs to enlighten me. No, let me tell you exactly what Rav Yehuda beholds. There is no allowance at all for Pasi Bros, but for Be'er Maim Chaim, and not for anything else, even in the Rabbim, even in the public area. Okay, fine. So just tell me the second halacha, that would automatically negate the need for the first one. If I just told you the second statement, that Pasi Bros are only allowable by wells, by spring water, as opposed to watering holes, I would have thought that that's true whether it be a multitude or not, whether it be by the public or not. Kamash Malon, the Chiddush Halach Rabbi Yehuda Baba. If I need to tell you Rabbi Baba not to extend the Pasi Bros heter of by a be'er into the yachid, into the private domain. It's only there. It's only applicable when it's a public domain. I could have said we follow the Be'er Mayim Chaim only applies by a yachid. Well, that's exactly what ultimately he does say by passing like Rabbi Yehuda Baba. I guess he didn't want to take away the credit from the source of who said it. So at the end of the day, we arrive at the proper conclusion. The halacha is you only can make Pasi Bros by a well and only by Rabbim, but you need these two statements to get you to the clarity of what it is that he wanted to tell us. Let's take a look at.
Alleviates the problem of the well running out of water. Then
again, what?
If you use a well as opposed to a watering hole, that alleviates the problem.
But we still never allowed it for a private area.
No, what I'm saying, the problem was if the well goes dry.
Well, it's right. A well's not going to go dry. Only a watering hole's going to go dry.
Yeah.
But so I thought you're asking. So why not allow it for a yachid? That far we still, because we want a case where the public is really going to benefit from it.
Well, with the yachid, you just put up a regular Eruvin,
Whatever. Yeah, he's right. He's got to put up. He's got to put up walls. In this case, it doesn't have walls. He's got to put up walls. He has no recourse. Okay. Fine. Okay, very good. So let us proceed. Next Mishnah. Okay, moving right along here. It's Eruvin, but it moves. Okay, next Mishnah. So now we have another halach we just quoted. Obviously, when you're looking at the Mishnayos, it's probably going to be connected, these two Mishnayos. Probably one, but I'm not 100% certain. But either way, Rabbi Yehuda adds another halacha. Hagina v'karfeif shein shivim amma v'shirayim al ayin amma v'shirayim. So Rabbi Yehuda says, if you have a garden or some kind of an enclosure that's really not for living purposes, just sort of, for just niceties or whatever you have out there that you want to grow, maybe you like the open space, but the point is, if it's 70 amma and a little bit, by 70 amma and a little bit, netting you the total of 500 square ammas that we have spoken about in the past, called two beisah. So if you have that that area, hamukafes geder gvoyasar tfachim, if it's surrounded by fencing 10 tfachim high, so it's got legitimate regular fencing, but talton besocha, then you're allowed to carry in that area, even though it's not designated for living, it's designated just for, being there, and it's nice, it's nice open space, but you're not really using it for any real significant function of living. But if it's within that framework of 500 square ammas, then you're okay, you're good to go, and you're good to carry. Uvat sheba shomira or bezdira, but you still, there's still another requirement. You have to have some kind of shomira, some kind of place where it's like a hut for for watchmen. Okay, o beis dira, or an apartment there, or living area. O shei smucha le'ir, or it's got to be close to the city. Okay, so Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba limits this heter of a karfeif. Okay, this kind of open area, even though it's not very large. It's only with 500 square ammas. But even with the 500 square ammas, it's got to be conditional on there being some level of usage of a practical living aspect, whether it's for the watchman or whether you have a house in there, apartment in there, or whether it's close to the city, so you can, I guess, access from the city out there. So you can use it. You need some criteria. But so this Tanakama Rebuta Baba is quite limiting as far as using space that's not classically designed for living area. Rebuta says is not the same one. Obviously, that this is Rabbi Yehuda as opposed to Rebuta and Baba. Rebuta Aimer Afilu Aim Be'elabar V'Shiachum Ara. Even if all you have is a pit or a ditch or a ma'ara or a cave. And that's where you have the diagram, just I guess to give you an idea of what's the difference between a bar, which is round, and a ma'ara, which is a hole in the wall, I guess a cave, type thing, or a shiach, which is narrow and rectangular in nature. Okay, so those are the three types. Just basically the same idea. Just the question is where it is and how it is. So even if you only have those things, which are certainly not major living aspects, it just help facilitate you a little bit. But you are allowed to carry in that area if that's all you have. That's good enough. Okay, Rabbi Akiva goes even further. So Rabbi Yehuda is much more lenient than Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba. Rabbi Akiva says, Rabbi Akiva Omer, I feel even if you don't have any of these three things, but you're allowed to carry inside of it. As long as you have a squared off area of 70 plus by 70 plus, that's good enough. That's conventional wisdom that we've been working with. That as long as it's 2 saws, it's a karfeif, and it's only basically there for whatever non-serious function. Usage, or you just want to hang out there and look at the nature, that's fine. You can carry there as well, as long as you don't go above the 500 square amma criteria. Okay, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, afilu amma achas ematal metocha. So he's very clear. He says that if you have even 1 amma more then square footage as a square, you make it even slightly rectangular, that instead of it's 70 by 70, it becomes, 72 by 68 or something like that. That's going, or 71 even by 69, that's not going to work. You got to have a square. So you still can't use it. In other words, he would agree that you don't need the bar to be in there to use it as long as it's a square area, okay, as opposed to a rectangular area. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Rabbi Yossi says, I'm not nearly as strict as Rabbi Eliezer. Afilu orcha pishnayim b'ruchava b'tata metocha. You can have it 2 times the length to the width. 100 by 50 would be good enough. Okay, because 100 by 50 will also net you 500 square amas, and it's certainly a nice rectangular shape, and that's going to be okay because that parallels the chutzner in the Mishkan, which is exactly the basis of these dimensions of 500.
5,000.
5,000. Okay, 100 by 50 is 5,000. Okay. Yeah, math was not my... Okay, fine. Right? Amar Rabbi Eloi, Shemati Rabbi Elazar. So, let's see here. Yes, Rabbi Eloi says, I heard from Rabbi Elazar, this is without the ayin, unless he changes it. Where's that base? He changes it to Eliezer. Okay, yeah, so he changes it. Okay, so I heard from Rabbi Eliezer, which apparently now is the same one as we just quoted. I feel like a base core, even if it's a base core, which is 15 times. A base core is 30 saw, as opposed to 2 saws. So 15 times 5,000 is 75,000 square amas. Even if it's like a base core, it's going to be good enough. I don't have this limitation of 2 saws. V'chein shamati mimenu, and so too I heard another halacha from him when discussing this area, this issue. Anshe chatzar people of a chotzer sheshachach echad mehen. Well, one of them, Nebuch, was too busy and ran into Shabbos, ran in late. Well, Erev Beso, and he didn't have a chance to share in the Erev of the box of matzahs. He did not designate his property as part of the Erev before Shabbos. So he's l'chara sort of stuck. So, right, because we're talking about a bunch of homes merging to be able to use a common chutzner and to be able to carry from a house to the chutzner, from the chutzner to the house. So since he blew it and he did not join in the Erev, you're not allowed to go in and out for him, but they could go in and out even from his house for their own purposes, right? Because ultimately what he's going to do is be mevatel his rishus to them. But that only works for them because they had already an existing chutzah. But if you didn't make your Erev, then just because you mevatel your property, sort of a mafkarit to them, that's not going to work for you, and it can't even work for them to do something for you. V'chein shamati menu, and so too I heard once we're quoting the great Rabbi Eliezer. I also heard from him sheyotzim ba'ar kablin Pesach, that you yotza with an arkablin of Pesach. Arkablin is another form of moror. We know we have a bunch of different possibilities. He adds not only endives and horseradish or romaine lettuce, and other people say iceberg lettuce, but now he adds arkablin. What's arkablin? It's some kind of a vine that goes around a date that's pretty bitter, a date tree. But then I went around and I checked with all the students, and I looked for somebody to corroborate what I just said, what I just heard. I could not find one. So at the end of the day, that's the only person who seems to be, confirming that that's what happened, and I could not get anybody to corroborate. Okay, we've got Rashi just started here, and they'll pick it up tomorrow. Shomira, Sukkah Shomrim. Shomira is a hut belonging to a watchman. V'avagav dehuka fladira. Okay, even though it's surrounded for the purposes of living, because I guess the watchman, hangs out there. But it's not really called a high quality living situation. So you're only going to have this base Sayim allowance and not more than that. This is the position of Eruvin Ben Baba, who took a very strict approach. Smuchal Ir, the Hayil V'Krovel Abesa, since it's close to his house, Daitel Shtamish Batamid, he obviously has intentions of using on a regular basis. Ukahuka Fladira Damin, it's like Huka Fladira. So I'll give you this allowance to carry in that area if it's not more than two base saws, but because of the fact that you're close by, and it's like it's hukal fadira. Uvad shetei shivim amma v'shrayim al shivim amma v'shrayim, but it's got to be no more than 500 square amas, well yoser, and not more. Gemara parach tanakama nami hachikamar. Okay, so we're going to ask what is the difference between Rabbi Akiva and the Tanakama, because this is Rabbi Akiva's position, and it seems like it's the same, and we'll pick the rest of the Rashis up tomorrow.